What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the late night Saturday live stream for week 7. I'm Ben Halver, joined by Joey Carey, and today we are here to talk everything you need to know. Week 7, DraftKings, NFL, DFS. If you're watching on replay, we appreciate you, man. Drop a like, subscribe. If you're watching live, feel free to ask any questions at any point throughout the stream. We will answer them all. Joey,
Indeed.
week 7. How are you feeling, bud?
Week 7, we're here. NFL season is flying by, but I'm ready to talk about the slate. We got a nice slate. Not a ton of value on this slate, but I think there are some good plays, and I think for cash games, it's a relatively tight player pool once again this week for cash specifically. But we're here to give out the tournament winners and to try and win millions of dollars this week. So that's what we're gonna do here.
That is absolutely what we're going to do here, Joey. And this is an interesting slate. This is a slate where I think my thoughts have changed a little bit since the time that we recorded our preview podcast on Wednesday evening. This is an interesting slate, man. There are a lot of dynamics to it. So let's just jump right in. And as we always do, we will start off going position by position, and we can talk about quarterback first and foremost. No Josh Allen on this slate, right? No Jalen Hurts on this slate. And as a result, I do believe that we are now expanding our player pool a little bit deeper. There are more options that I'm considering than I would on an average week. Do you feel the same way?
Shout out Al, of course. Shout out Al.
What up, Al? Glad to have you back once again.
But yeah, I mean, no Josh Allen, no Jalen Hurts. Patrick Mahomes is in a perceived tough spot, I should say. Not too many quarterbacks to pay up to. Obviously, we have Lamar, who's projecting well right now, and he should be a little chalky on this week 7 slate. But I think this is a week to expand your quarterback pool, and that's definitely a place that I would try to get different at tournaments. Like I'm playing 0 Geno Smith in tournaments, whereas Geno Smith in cash is probably the best cash game quarterback as it stands right now. At 5,600 in a game with a 50.5 total, some back and forth potential there. Both defenses haven't been great this season. So Geno Smith, I think, is the cash game quarterback that everybody's going to gravitate towards. I am still kind of skeptical about Geno, but for tournaments, I mean, I'm definitely, playing Herbert. I'm playing Tom Brady. I'm playing Dak Prescott. And I personally think Dak is still in cash game consideration. I think Derek Carr and Devontae Adams is probably like the best leverage stack on the slate. So I might run a Derek Carr lineup because this is a slate where these cheaper quarterbacks, they're not competing with 4 or 5 of the elite options. They're only competing with 1 or 2. Makes it easier for them to, potentially win you a tournament on a week where there's not too many elite options. So I think you could definitely expand your pool and get a little bit crazy at quarterback this week.
Yeah, and I mean, on a lot of weeks, it just doesn't make sense to do so when Josh Allen is a locked-in 30 points, and that's just not the case this week. Even Lamar Jackson, who, is probably most likely to be the highest scoring quarterback on the slate from a raw projection standpoint, is still coming off of 3 consecutive games under 20 points on DraftKings. So it's just... it's not the best spot for Lamar. Mahomes, you already mentioned, not the best spot for him. So I think that we are looking outside of the, perceived top tier. The guys that you mentioned are really the guys I'm most interested in. Specifically for tournaments, I think the players I'll have the most exposure to: Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, and Tom Brady. And on the same token, I think in cash, it's a Geno Smith week personally, but you say you're skeptical?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have a pretty large sample size of Geno Smith not being as efficient as he has been over, the first month of the season. And we kind of saw him have his worst game of the year last year in a plus spot perceived. So I am still kind of skeptical around Geno Smith. Maybe that's just like biased against him and, valuing or weighing, I should say, way too much of his past results. But I think at the end of the day, we know what kind of quarterback he is. And then you take into consideration Tyler Lockett is also coming into this game a little hobbled. He has a hamstring injury. He's not going to be 100%, and he might be out of cash game consideration. I think that from a projection standpoint, it looks good, but it's more of like a IKB type of fade with Geno Smith and just hoping that his efficiency isn't, as good as it has been this season. And I think that's a good bet to make, especially in tournaments.
Yeah, no, in tournaments, that makes a lot of sense, especially with Lockett out of play. It's pretty hard to go there. You can't even play doubles with, Geno, Lockett, Metcalf. I don't think that's good playing into Lockett ownership. And even Metcalf in his own right, I believe, will have a decent amount of ownership as well.
Yeah, Metcalf, I mean, we'll talk about a wide receiver. Metcalf is in cash game consideration this week. With the Tyler Lockett news. But yeah, Geno Smith, I think you're fading him in tournaments and cash games. I think it's fine, but I still don't necessarily love it personally, but I know that's an unpopular opinion across the industry. But yeah, for tournaments, I think my favorite would be Justin Herbert as well.
And so let's talk about this Chargers situation as a whole with Justin Herbert, no Josh Palmer in this game. Keenan Allen seems like a true game time decision with quotes this week that he may, just be better off sitting through the bye, which they have next week, which, if the player is the one that is putting doubt on the situation, that gives it a lot of credence to me. More often than not, the players are pushing to play. And it's the coaches and training staff holding them back. But this is a situation where even Keenan is sort of thinking, maybe I should sit out another week and get the bye week as well to recover. So Justin Herbert really heavily consolidated target share this week. No Josh Palmer, probably no Keenan, no Donald Parham. Like that limits you to, Mike Williams, who I think is in a smash spot, Austin Eckler, who I think is the best running back play on the board, and Gerald Everett, who is priced at a point that will make him not chalky compared to some of the other cheap tight ends. There's just a lot of spots you can go in tournaments with Justin Herbert. I mean, I think Mike Williams, Gerald Everett double stacks with Justin Herbert could easily be the week winner. DK Metcalf on the bring back, and you're looking really fucking good this week.
Yeah, I definitely love Justin Herbert doubles in this spot. Obviously, I think it does hurt his ceiling a little bit not having those guys. But in this matchup, the ceiling is still extremely high. And the quarterback ownership on this slate, I think it should be relatively flat across the board. I don't think in tournaments there's going to be one overly chalky quarterback. I don't even think Geno Smith is going to get out of hand because I think the field understands that there is still a ton of risk with Geno Smith, and there's some decent pivots in that same range. And I mean, Dak Prescott is only 1,100 more. Tom Brady is 900 more than Geno Smith. Aaron Rodgers is 400 more in a plus matchup. So I think that across the board, you don't really have to worry about ownership at quarterback unless you're playing Lamar or Geno Smith. Justin Herbert's projecting to be a top 3 owned quarterback, but I don't think he gets up towards, 15, 20%. I think he comes in somewhere between 8 to 12%, similar to Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow, I would say. So those 3 quarterbacks, I think, is the range where you want to be in for tournaments. Maybe include Tom Brady in there. I know you did a video on Tom Brady and the double stack. I talked about it on the Wednesday pod, and I said that was like the low owned stack, the classic flop lag stack this week. Tom Brady 6,300 looks really, really enticing. And then Dak Prescott's in a smash spot as well.
Yeah, I wanna focus in on this Tom Brady stack and the Bucs team and this situation in general, right? Like the Panthers are a organization that is completely collapsing right now. They traded Robbie Anderson early in the week. They traded Christian McCaffrey late on Thursday night. PJ Walker is starting in this game, man. Like the only players they have on offense, like think about it. Their offense is going to be DJ Moore and like Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard and Terrace Marshall Jr., dude. Like this is a spot where I think that the Bucs are looking in their own right to bounce back and get the offense clicking on the level that it should be. And this is a matchup where they can take full advantage of a team that, frankly, I can't imagine is sitting there in the locker room, hyping themselves up, getting ready to put their mind, body, and soul on the line for an organization that is actively showing them that they don't care about winning right now. I just don't see, it just seems like the morale is going to be dead, and Brady's coming in heated up. We've seen it all week. There's Mike Evans squeaky wheel narratives floating around there, and man, and not only that, but this is a team, specifically one of the few teams in the league that we know will still keep their foot on the gas even in a blowout scenario. The pass rate over expectation for the Bucs has been one of the best in the league. So I think that you can play Tom Brady doubles this week without a Carolina bring back. I think that a lot of people will try and, maybe play DJ Moore because of the cheap price tag. And I think that that would be a mistake. I really do believe that you can overload on the Bucs side of the ball and get a 30+ point spot out of this offense without being pushed by the Carolina Panthers. So I'm all over Brady, man. I'm going to play some early only stuff with Brady. And I think Brady will probably be my most utilized quarterback on this slate in tournaments.
Yeah. I mean, Tom Brady right now is projecting as, a top 6 ceiling quarterback on the slate. And he's coming in at some of the lowest ownership on the slate of all of the quarterbacks. So that just signals to me that he is a very good tournament play. And like you said, this Bucs team will still throw the ball if they're up. Obviously, in a blowout, it's definitely concerning, and that is at the back of your mind when you're building these Tom Brady teams. But, if you're building as if you're right, you're hoping that this is just an absolute get-right spot. This is a game where they know they're going to come out. They know they're going to win against this fucking horrible franchise. Let Brady fire on all cylinders, get the wheels turning, get the fucking kinks ironed out. This is as good of a spot as any to do it.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just playing into that narrative more than anything. Like, do you think they are going to make it a point to get the offense clicking, an offense that, as we could see on the screen, they've only put up 21 or more points in one game.
Yeah,
two games technically, but 22 or more points in one game. That's kind of pathetic with the talent on this team.
It is.
So as 13-point favorites, definitely some risk there, and it could be a Leonard Fournette game easily, and he's one of the best plays on the slate. But Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, I think this is a prime opportunity to get right on offense for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that they all stand out, right? Like Evans is a phenomenal tournament play. Godwin is a great play. He's in cash consideration. Cade Otton is probably the best tight end play on the slate. Leonard Fournette is right up there with the top running backs. Like there are so many ways to go in this offense, which makes it interesting, I think, for tournaments because you can play into different doubles with, maybe a chalky piece, but still get different in the lower owned plays on the slate that you could get into. Specifically, Mike Evans, I think, will be the lowest owned of this group. And, he sets up as, I think I'm going to be playing Brady to Evans and then mixing in the other guys, Otton or Godwin in the doubles and just trying to get the right combo. But yeah, I mean, Brady to me is phenomenal. And then Dak Prescott is the guy we haven't really talked about yet. The Cowboys team total rising. They are now tied with the Chargers for the highest total on the slate, 27.75. They get the best matchup on the board against the Lions. Dak will be back with a full complement of weapons. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Dalton Schultz is even off of the injury report, ready to go. So this spot sets up incredibly well for Dallas and Dak Prescott. Do you think that they come in his first game back and let him, play in a way that will access his ceiling? Or do you think they lean a little bit on the run game here, Zeke and Tony Pollard, and what should be a really plus matchup for the backs as well?
I mean, it's a plus matchup for the entire Cowboys team. Obviously, the Detroit Lions are last in the NFL in DVOA across the board. This is just a team, they can't stop anybody. So I guess it really just depends how you think the Cowboys want to run their offense just from a play calling perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they want to be a team that puts their foot on the gas, that, they will come out, let Dak Prescott rip it first game back from injury? Or do you think they want to be a run-first team, control the game, go out there, get a nice win, kind of what they've been doing with Cooper Rush, but with obviously more upside and ceiling at the quarterback position? I think, personally, I'll go first here. I probably would lean towards the latter. I think that this is a team that wants to get their backs involved and wants to control the ground and be a run-first team. But Dak Prescott at 6,700, I think he's just such a good play. And this Lions offense, I think, is decent enough to push them a little bit. And, I mean, we've seen in games like this, even last season, the Cowboys can get down in games like this. They lost that game against the Broncos last year with Teddy Bridgewater.
Yep.
Like, it's definitely well within the range that the Lions can push this Cowboys team and this Cowboys offense, especially an offense that didn't really click with Dak in that first game, right? Only 3 points before he got hurt. I don't know. I think that I think I would play into it in tournaments. And, when we talk about wide receivers, I mean, CeeDee Lamb is the easiest fade on the slate, but we'll talk about that later.
I agree with that. So in response to the initial question you asked, and how do I think the Cowboys want to play this game? I think ideally, I agree with you. I think that if they have the opportunity, they will try and win this game through defense and running the ball, right? With Zeke and Tony Pollard. However, my opinion of this game is that it comes completely down to what the Lions are able to do. If they're able to push the Cowboys in a meaningful way. And, I just don't know. I think that you play Dak Prescott in tournaments with a Lions piece brought back, because if it's a scenario where this isn't a close game and they aren't getting pushed, I think that they just fully lean on Zeke in this spot, Zeke and Pollard. This may be a spot, right? We have the Lions coming off of a bye. We have Dallas on a short week after playing on Sunday Night Football, not a super short week, but still a later game nonetheless. I don't know. Maybe the Lions get some stuff right in the bye. I don't think they're going to come in and have a decent defense. They'll probably still be bad, but what if they're playing like the 20th worst defense in the league instead of 32nd? And Amon-Ra St. Brown is back, full participant in practice all week. He should be fully healthy. DeAndre Swift is on the probable side of questionable. They could be at full strength here. And if the Lions are able to generate the type of offense that they did for the first 4 weeks before cratering, in New England, then I think that this is a spot where this game could absolutely shoot out. So for me, I'm playing Dak in tournaments exclusively in a game script where I believe the Lions are pushing them. And DeAndre Swift, I'm a little bit too worried about in terms of how the Lions utilize him. So it would almost exclusively be through Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, I love Amon-Ra this week, but I think we can move on to running back here. Running backs, I think it's an interesting running back slate. I think there's one standout play that everybody is going to play, and he's going to be the chalkiest running back in a while, in my opinion, and that's none other than your boy. Your boy Josh Jacobs. How do you feel about Josh Jacobs this week?
It's against brand, because traditionally, I mean, you could go back on this YouTube channel, maybe to the beginning. I actually don't know when this video was posted, but I've got a pretty hard anti-Josh Jacobs video on this channel that I got absolutely eviscerated in the comments for. One of my favorite comment sections on any of our videos, but this is a different scenario. Okay. Josh Jacobs' role is different. The Raiders are coming off of a bye. It's a well-rested team. Jacobs in week 5 had a career high 154 rushing yards after setting a career high a week before against Denver with 144. This dude is on fire right now. And the thing that makes him a different play than in the past, we always knew that Josh Jacobs had ceiling games in his range, but the consistency wasn't there. What's different now is the pass game role, right? Like you could see it on the screen, 5 or more targets in 3 straight games, 5 catches in 3 consecutive games. The pass game role is there. We know that the upside is there as a talent, and the matchup is immaculate at home, well rested against a Houston team that has a bottom 5 rush defense. So I don't think you overthink it. Obviously, Josh Jacobs is one of the first players you're locking into cash. And I don't know, man, for tournaments, the ownership is going to be insane. Like, I think that he will be, easily over 30, probably closer to 40% in tournaments which does bring, the question up, do we play him in tournaments? I don't know. What's your lean on Jacobs for tournaments? Obviously, we're playing him in cash.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not playing Josh Jacobs in cash, I mean, there you go.
Yeah, cash might not be for you if Jacobs isn't in there. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be a winning cash game player, these are layup plays. That's all it is. It's a layup play. His role is just too good. 6,500. The conversation is, do you play him in tournaments at ownership, especially if he's going to be 40% or 50% in some of these tournaments, probably way higher in the high dollar, small field tournaments on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't know. I would lean I'm not playing Josh Jacobs in tournaments just because I think he is dependent on touchdowns to win you a tournament, but I just don't see a way that he fails. So it's probably a bad fade. But if any player is 40 or 50% owned, especially on the main slate, I don't care. I'll fade him.
So, yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think that you can get away from him just off the case of ownership. To me, the way that I anticipate myself playing Josh Jacobs tomorrow is, he's an afternoon piece that I'm actively planning pivots around, right? And you can see on the screen, your cursor's actually just hovering over him right now. Breece Hall for 300 less, I think, is the afternoon only pivot. Breece Hall is looking like a good play and he'll have some ownership, but if he's coming in at 15% and, Jacobs is 35 plus, Austin Eckler is 30 plus, Breece Hall is the afternoon play that you go down to if you're behind rather than trying to get up to Eckler. But if you're up, why not play Jacobs? Like, he has ceiling games in his range, right? He's got 30 plus games in his range. So if you have a contrarian stack early, a Brady double stack, and it smashes, maybe the early running backs aren't doing much. I don't know, man. I think that you can play Jacobs in that specific scenario, but I would be very willing to pivot off of him if I'm behind, or even if I'm in the middle. I think that there's good leverage in getting off of him. In a lineup that could go either way. I don't exactly know if I'm smashing or super behind. I think that you get off Jacobs in those spots personally.
No, I totally agree. And that's where like the game theory gets involved in your lineups and, late swapping. Like you said, he's a late chalk piece. So if you get that information early, like you said, you play a contrarian double stack early, Tom Brady, who else? Dak Prescott without CD, or they play at 1, right? Or
they
4?
Do. They play at 1.
They play at 1. Okay, so Dak Prescott without CD Lamb, something like that. Maybe build in Josh Jacobs. If it smashes, you're chilling. If it doesn't smash, you have to get off Josh Jacobs. And like you said, you have the Breece Hall pivot. You have the Dameon Pierce pivot in the same game for 100 less. You have the CEH pivot. Nobody's going to play CEH in that game. So there are a ton of players that you can pivot to, and I think that is where the game theory gets involved with Josh Jacobs. I don't necessarily think you have to build your lineups without him, but you definitely have to be willing to come off Josh Jacobs come 4 o'clock and be ready to make those swaps because this is looking like it is going to be another late swap slate with a ton of chalk at 4 o'clock, and Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, who we can talk about now. Kenneth Walker and the Seahawks-Chargers game, both running backs are going to be chalky. He's projecting as one of the best plays on the board. His role was better than Rashad Penny's role was, even when Kenneth Walker wasn't a factor. So at 5,800, I think he's the lowest you go in cash. I think you're locking in Kenneth Walker and Josh Jacobs in cash games. If you're not, I think it's bad process.
Wait. You think Kenneth Walker's a lock in cash?
Yes.
I disagree with that.
Kenneth Walker's a lock in cash. I mean, if you're not playing Kenneth Walker, send me a head-to-head, please.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Kenneth Walker is that he's the most fragile of the chalky running backs, in my opinion. He could get scripted out easily in this spot, I believe.
I don't think he gets scripted out, though. I think his role is pretty entrenched at 5,800. And I mean, DJ Dallas just didn't he didn't play as much as we thought he would
True.
last week. And Kenneth Walker was actually more involved in the passing game than DJ Dallas. So does he actually get game scripted out of Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, and Kenneth Walker, the three chalkiest running backs on the slate? Obviously, he's the most fragile, but you still need to save salary somewhere, and 5,800 on this slate looks like a perfect salary saver. And the 3 running back build is probably going to be the build that everybody runs this week. So the lineup will the train lineup in cash. I'll tell everybody this watching right now. There's going to be a train, and it's going to have 3 Seattle Seahawks in it. That's what I'd be more concerned about. That's the only reason, if I had a reason to not play Kenneth Walker, that'd be the reason right there. But do you think playing 3 Seahawks in Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf / Lockett is good?
No, I don't. I don't think that playing, more than one Seahawk is probably good in cash. I think that you're probably not playing Geno and Walker together, right? They don't correlate.
I mean,
well
they're going to be, both of them are going to be in the train lineup. So the majority of people playing cash games tomorrow and professional DFS players that have tout websites are playing Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker together tomorrow. I promise you.
Yeah. To me, that means that I'm going to be playing heavily in cash tomorrow, because I have no fear with fading Kenneth Walker. I think he's a good play. I do think he's a good play. And early in the week, I was right there with you that I think he's straight lock territory in cash. But I've really come off that as we've had different scenarios open up throughout the week. And I'm going to be maybe on an island here, but I think Austin Eckler is an absolute priority in cash. I know the price tag is exorbitant at 8,300, but the situation has gotten better and better for me, in my opinion, and it was already the best spot on the slate. Just with the way the targets are consolidating here with the injuries to the Chargers, and not only that, but the matchup bottom 3 run defense for the Seahawks. Austin Eckler has the most targets of any running back in the league. He has the highest ceiling of realistically any back on this slate, maybe save Derrick Henry. And the floor is just stone cold so valuable, averaging over a full target per game more than any other running back. And Christian McCaffrey is the only player who's even been in that tier. He's got a pretty sizable gap outside of CMC. I don't see why we would get away from Eckler in this spot. I think he's the best pure play on the slate.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I think if you play Lamar, you're not playing Eckler. I think if you're playing Geno, you are playing Eckler. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I don't think you're finding a way to make a good cash lineup with both Lamar and Eckler. And right now, Lamar is projecting to be the highest owned quarterback. So maybe pros do go the Lamar route. But I think in that route, Kenneth Walker is still the play there. But yeah, no, if you're playing Geno Smith, you're playing Austin Eckler. Richard said, thoughts on McLaurin and Dubs? Start Matty, Ice, or Brissett? So we'll talk about McLaurin and Dubs when we talk about wide receivers here shortly. But Matty, Ice, or Brissett?
I would start Matt Ryan. Assuming we're talking season long, I wouldn't play Matt Ryan or Brissett on DraftKings. But yeah, Matt Ryan definitely over Brissett, in my opinion.
Geno double with an Eckler bring back in cash.
Is the double Walker and Metcalf, because then it's like reasonable, especially from a projection standpoint. It looks good. I wouldn't do it, but I think it's okay.
Yeah, no, I think that the optimal lineup is going to have Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, and DK Metcalf in it for cash. There's the paywall information, Bob. That's the optimal.
Yeah, that is the optimal. Some other running backs that could make their way into cash game consideration on the pricier side, I think, are Joe Mixon at $7K and Leonard Fournette at $7,700. Do you have a lean between these two guys? Bengals have the higher implied team total at 27. But the Bucks, or Fournette, I should say specifically, I think has a better floor just because of his locked in pass game role in this offense.
I mean, Mixon's pass game role is pretty good as well.
He's top 10 in the league in targets right now at running back.
I mean, as you can see here, not one game with less than 3 catches for Joe Mixon. So his role is actually really good. His touch volume is really good. The Bengals in this spot have one of the highest implied team totals on the slate at 27 currently. So I think there's a reasonable expectation that Mixon scores a touchdown in this game, maybe 2. I think Mixon is a very good play, and I definitely would consider playing Mixon in tournaments, especially if he's not going to come in as, a top 3, top 4 owned running back. And yeah, I love Joe Mixon. I think he's a better play than Leonard Fournette in this spot. I think that obviously with the blowout concerns, there's a chance Rachaad White mixes in a little bit more than usual, but Fournette, I mean, nonetheless, he's still a very good play. They're both very good plays, but price included, I think Mixon is a better play. And that's how the projections have it as well. So I would side with the projections there on Joe Mixon over Fournette, personally.
Same thing for tournaments?
For tournaments, yeah, I do like Joe Mixon more than Leonard Fournette as well.
I think I prefer Fournette. You're getting a slight ownership discount, and I just think that the ceiling on the Bucs offense is a little bit higher in this spot. Especially if we're looking at the blowout stuff. I think that's sets up really well for a Fournette game script. Bop in the chat says if I smash CMC, he gets 5 snaps. If I fade CMC, he goes for a 30 burger. That's how it works. I mean, yes, that's how it works, but you can avoid that scenario. I mean, you're not playing CMC this week. I mean, first of all, you can't because he got traded midweek. So he's going to accumulate 0 points on DraftKings, even though he is in the player pool. They will not.
That's cap. He's literally on San Francisco, Ben. Look at the screen.
Well, if you go to your lineups tab, there will be a exclamation mark that says trade alert. Christian McCaffrey has been traded to SF. He won't accrue points for Carolina. Please check your lineups.
Yeah, for Carolina. He'll accrue points for San Francisco. You could play CMC on DraftKings.
Can you?
Yeah.
Usually they don't let you.
Bro, it says for Carolina. He's accruing fantasy points for San Francisco now. You could play CMC. They changed it.
Interesting. Well,
come on, okay. Ben. You're supposed to be a professional.
Hey, I didn't know they changed their process, dude. Usually in the past, they would not allow you to play players who were traded. But even still, McCaffrey's totally unplayable in my opinion. There's just no way he pays off 8,400, even if he has 50% of snaps, which would be way higher than what I would guess. There's just no way he pays off at 8,400.
Yeah, I mean, you can't play CMC. I mean, if he goes for 3 tutties on his 15 snaps, I mean, you take it on the chin. But yeah. I don't think anybody's going to play CMC this week. I mean, you'd be kind of dumb to play a player that's not going to play the full game and just got traded to his team. Yeah. But nonetheless, some other running back plays that I think are interesting. I think Jonathan Taylor this week is interesting coming off of his injury at 8,100. Literally nobody's going to play JT. Saquon is definitely interesting, 7,900. I mean, why are we not talking about Saquon Barkley, one of the best running backs in the NFL, one of the best fantasy running backs in the league, elite ceiling, the only player worth a damn on his offense, 7,900. Saquon Barkley, I think, is a good pivot off of Austin Eckler. That's an early game as well, which gives you a ton of information heading into the 4 o'clock games. So he's kind of a game theory pivot there at 1 o'clock. And Nick Chubb, 8K.
Mm-hmm.
You playing any Nick Chubb this week?
I don't think so because the only scenario I would play him would be in Lamar stuff, and at that point, Lamar, Mark Andrews, Nick Chubb, who else are you starting in your lineup? Terrace Marshall and DeAndre Carter, you're chopped. It's just way too much salary. I think Nick Chubb is good, but I don't know. I would find a different format of fantasy to get my exposure to Nick Chubb. I would bet his props if I'm big on Nick Chubb. I wouldn't play him on DraftKings.
Okay. Yeah. Any props for the people this week?
props for the people. I mean, on Prize Picks, I took Austin Eckler and Josh Jacobs fantasy points. And I took I've taken Mike Evans receiving yards over. I think I got it at 65.5 early, and then I doubled down at 69.5 late in the week. Those are the ones I'm on right now, is Evans and Eckler. If you can get Eckler like receiving and rushing yards combined, I think that's pretty good too.
Okay. My only props that I have currently, I'm going to deposit money and put in a bunch later to try and find some value. But this is the bet that I have currently going for the kids out there.
Damn, dude, you just flexing that 4,601 to the people right now.
Yeah, that's 46 entries, won probably 200 plays. Because I lose every entry by one leg. But there we go. Those are my two plays that I have for tomorrow so far. CD Lamb unfortunately got bumped up.
Yeah.
So that's just unfortunate. But
I took that Debo one too. I actually
Debo
did
Samuel
take
is
that
still
Debo.
up. He's still up. Let's look him up. Debo Samuel is still up. 57.5. So if you want to tail 57.5, potential good game script for the Niners pass catchers against Kansas City. And we could talk about wide receivers now. Debo Samuel definitely not in play on DraftKings, in my opinion.
Eric in the chat, I'm broke.
My pick'em's been ice cold lately. Yeah. All we need to do, we just need to talk about Prize Picks, and that's how the viewers. That's when the viewers start to come in.
Yeah.
Nobody plays DFS anymore. They just want to see this.
Yeah. No, we'll definitely have to launch
entries,
Prize Picks or Underdog
past entries. You want to see? All right, L. I'm ice cold. See, look, people love the prize. They want to see L. Fuck CJ McCollum. Nice dub.
There you go.
Nice dub. L. Loss. One leg loss. I just tried to get a 15x on this because if you do an over, under, like an uncorrelated bet, it gets 15x. I thought there would be some bench upside with Andy Dalton there, but he goes out, obviously dots him up, but just tried to play that. Little NHL dub. One leg L. Fuck AJ Green. Fuck Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard gets a travel with he gets a travel with 2 minutes left in the game to go over. NBA is just horrible.
That's a lot of L's, my boy.
One leg L. Yeah. One leg L. Fuck Saquon. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we have to do the Battle Royale. Underdog has 100x boost.
Dude, I've done 10 this week. I've never done one before. They're actually pretty fun. I actually like them.
I've done 10 this week.
Yeah, I actually really like those. Maybe we could I don't know if you want to fire one off at the end of the stream, we could.
Let's fire off an Underdog Fantasy Battle Royale at the end of the stream. So we'll go through, we'll talk about it again. If you're watching, ask questions. We chat. Just ask us any questions about DFS. We're about to talk about wide receivers. We'll do an Underdog Fantasy Battle Royale to get the 100x boost. So if you're not an Underdog, sign up, make an account. We don't have a promo code, but find somebody's promo code. Sign up, 100x boost on their pick'em for next week. It should get put into everybody's account. I'm assuming like Tuesday or Wednesday. Underdog's pretty quick.
Yeah, they're quick.
But yeah, it's just $5. $5 for 100x boost, which I'm assuming will be like a 20 max. You could potentially win $2,000 on a 5-pick.
Yeah.
You got to do it. You got to do it. So
and hey, you might ship 50K off your $5 battle royale. So there's a lot of outs here.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, moving on to wide receiver for cash games. So 50-50s, double ups, head-to-heads. I think it's a relatively condensed player pool this week. I think you're locking in CD Lamb at 6,800. He's just relatively underpriced for his role, for the matchup, and obviously the upgrade at quarterback. And I think the touchdown upside in this spot is extremely high. I think the conversation that we need to have is what wide receivers are we locking in between this Godwin, Higgins, and DK Metcalf range in cash. I think you can play two of the three, but one's going to be the odd man out, or do you go down to Tyler Lockett? But I do think the cash game pool for wide receiver is CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, Higgins, and Chris Godwin.
We can talk about these guys. I think there's a couple wide receivers I would consider on the cheap end as well. But yeah, for this range, I find myself most drawn to T. Higgins personally right now.
He is projecting the best.
Yeah, I think that T. Higgins is my favorite play. He's the best from a projection standpoint. The matchup is good. The targets are great right now. He's fully healthy. Metcalf, though, right now is becoming an interesting conversation piece. I've kind of gotten off of Godwin. I think that Godwin is the third of the group just because of the blowout risk and because of the vast array of options and the different places that the ball could go in the Bucs offense. Whereas right now, I mean, with the Seahawks, it's going to be exclusively Metcalf, Walker, Lockett, and Lockett is not 100%. To answer your question, I don't think you go down to Lockett. I'm not playing Lockett in cash this week. I don't think Lockett is viable right now because he's not 100%. I would rather find the money to get up to Metcalf if that is the route I'm going, especially now when the pricings are getting closer and closer. It's only an $800 increase to get up to Metcalf, a $600 increase to get up to Higgins. I don't play Lockett this week. And I think it's Higgins for me. But, I mean, how do you feel about this tier?
I think that the Bengals pass catchers could get game scripted out, and I think I'd be more concerned about the Bengals not throwing the ball rather than the Bucs if they're up. But I think T. Higgins' projection is a little bit better than Chris Godwin, so he's probably a little bit safer if you're just looking at that. And then DK Metcalf is also projecting a little bit better than Chris Godwin. And it's looking like Chris Godwin may be the odd man out in terms of the train cash game lineup. And I think a ton of people are going to go the DK Metcalf, T. Higgins route. And I think DK Metcalf ceiling is a little bit higher in the spot, especially with Tyler Lockett coming into this game with a hamstring injury. So if you're building a lineup something like this in cash games, I mean, I think this is probably where a lot of people are going to go. I think
you can't play Eckler though in this build. I don't think.
In this build, let's see. Let's see if you can fit it.
Plug Geno and Otten in and see what we got. I mean,
let's see. It's feasible.
It is feasible.
It's feasible. You're fading obviously Kenneth Walker in this lineup. And then you would have I think you would have to find 100 to get up to Alec Pierce.
Mm-hmm. Which you could play the Commanders, D. I think you can play. I mean, Jets, I think, are a better play, but I think you can play Commanders, and I think you can play the Falcons too against the Bengals. So I think you have like up to 200 in flexibility there. So you could play Alec Pierce, or you could find your way down to DeAndre Carter at 3,700 and maybe get off of Geno if that's what you want to do. I'm not sure, but
yeah, I'll give you the chalk. This is the train lineup right here. This is what everybody's going to run.
With Mixon? If that's... I feel confident playing against that lineup, to be honest with you.
You feel confident playing against that lineup?
Yeah, I do. I think Eckler's a significantly better play than Joe Mixon. Yeah, I would feel good playing against that lineup, to be honest. I mean, Walker's the scary fade, but I'm okay making that fade with the Seahawks on the road as, significant underdogs. The pass game role is in question. Yeah,
but it's like
fine without Walker.
Bro, that is the one Bob says.
Yeah, I mean,
That's going to be the
everybody's
train
gonna run
lineup.
that. Yeah,
Everybody's running this
that.
lineup. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe people do make Eckler a priority, but I think this is going to be a very popular lineup because, if you do try and fit Eckler in and you don't play, if I go here, I got to go to running back. If you do try and fit Eckler in and you don't play Kenneth Walker, I mean, you are looking at a value wide receiver probably in this 4 wide receiver build. But in terms of projections, I mean, the projections just aren't going to like this. So it's like, you're coming off of one of these wide receivers in T. Higgins or DK to play a value wide receiver in Kenneth Walker. That's what I think a ton of people will do.
Mm-hmm. There's also going to be a significant amount of
personally,
people that play Lamar too, though.
Yeah, I don't think that this Eckler lineup is better than the lineup that I just had on the screen. Personally, you disagree, obviously, but this Eckler, and if we lock in, I would just get rid of T. Higgins. If we lock in Kenneth Walker, and we got 5,100 for a wide receiver, so dubs or something like that. This lineup is not better than the Joe Mixon lineup.
I mean, there's a fourth iteration of this lineup where it's like Higgins, Lamb, Higgins, and an even cheaper receiver like DeAndre Carter, and you can pay up to Mixon or Fournette if you're fading Eckler, or I'm sorry, if you're fading Walker and play Jacobs, Eckler, and then want to mix in Fournette, which I also think is super viable. But I mean, nobody's going to play that. I know that I'm out on a limb with that, but I'm always okay being out on a limb. I don't feel like I need to run the train or anything like that. And I'm undefeated in cash this year for what it's worth. So sometimes it pays to be outside the box a little. I mean, both of us are. I mean, not to just say that about me. It's not like you have been adverse to fading massive chalk and cash throughout the history of this podcast. Like I don't know. I think that with enough experience, if you're still playing close to projections and not just getting totally wild, it's fair to make conviction plays in cash.
Yeah, I mean, going with the crowd is not how you get above.
It isn't. How can you separate from something you're a part of? Think about that.
Wise words from Benny H from New York. But yeah, this is the chalk cash game lineup. For everybody watching.
That's $1 million lineup. No, my guy, that's like you're gonna win 55% of your head-to-heads type of lineup and come out with like a $10 ROI. Shout out to cash games in 2020.
Like a 7% ROI.
Yep, standard.
Right. But wide receivers, yeah. So CeeDee Lamb, Metcalf, and T. Higgins look like they are going to be the chalk. And I don't think in cash games people are going to pay down to the cheap wide receivers. I think the lowest you go is Tyler Lockett at 5,800. And for everybody watching, we are going to do a Battle Royale draft after this. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And obviously, we're just going to join it on stream. So you could potentially draft with us. So they know we're not colluding.
Yeah, no. I mean, they know. We've been doing these streams forever. They know that we're more likely to try and snipe each other out of spite than we are to help each other win. So, but Eric in the chat says, hasn't the chalk been hitting this year? Feel like we need Walker. The thing about DFS is that it's a week-to-week game, and it doesn't matter to me if the chalk hits 6 weeks in a row. I'm still going to find a way to be contrarian every week because it's about what do you win when you win. It's like if the chalk smashes every week, I'm not going to win tournaments, but the 1 week it doesn't is the week that you win your entire year on, right? So I'm not worried about
all it takes is
chalk...
1 week.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a tournament player, which Ben has kind of transitioned into focusing more on tournaments. Tournaments, obviously a lot of variance involved, and you could go weeks on weeks without winning. But all it takes is that 1 week where the chalk does fail, even though the chalk has been hitting recently. The chalk has failed multiple weeks this year, and those have been profitable tournament weeks, at least for me.
Yep.
Especially a few. I think was it last week or last week. I had a very
Last
good
week was your
tournament week.
good week because you weren't all over the Bills Chiefs chalk.
Yeah. So fading chalk, I think, is beneficial in tournaments, but not in cash games, because chalk in cash games is the best plays. That's what you want to be making, is the best plays.
Yeah, very, very important distinction there.
Which the field is usually pretty right on these days, because of projections and how sharp they are, and ownership projections are like spot on in 2022. So that's a distinction. But in tournaments, who are you looking at wide receiver? I think in cash games, everybody already knows. We've said it a ton. Tournaments, though, I think there's a ton of good plays.
There are a ton of good plays, man. I mean, I would say the player that I think I'll have the most of in tournaments is probably Mike Evans, because I mean, God, dude, Mike Evans, he's got the squeaky wheel stuff. We already know. I mean, he's a walking 30 bomb waiting to happen, and he's going to be right around 10% owned, opposed to Godwin, who what's Godwin looking at? Currently, Godwin is going to be, closer to 15 to 20. Fournette is going to be 25 plus. Like, Mike Evans is the leverage off of all of the chalky pieces, and he's in such a great spot. And the Bucs have already said that they know that they made a mistake last week, giving him only 4 targets. That's unacceptable. And I think that they make it a concerted effort to feed Mike Evans in this game. 6,900. He's just going to fly under the radar. Everyone is going to play, the Higgins, Metcalf, CD Lamb, and then even get up a little bit to guys like Debo, Chase, etc. Like, I think Evans is the GOAT play in tournaments this week. So, him, Amon-Ra St. Brown is part of Dallas stuff. Mike Williams with the consolidated targets for the Chargers. Those are the guys that I'm most excited to play this week. Those 3.
Yeah, I definitely love Mike Evans. I love Mike Evans this week at 6,900. I think he has multiple touchdown upside in this spot, and he's a good leverage piece on CD Lamb. He's a good leverage piece on Leonard Fournette. I think the best leverage play at wide receiver, has to be Davante Adams.
It is
so pricey though, 8,700. Are you kind of making it a priority to get up to Davante Adams, at least in one lineup where you're not playing Josh Jacobs? I mean, I think the way Josh Jacobs doesn't hit his ceiling is by not scoring touchdowns, which would be, just an inherent bet on other players scoring touchdowns. And, who's the most likely touchdown scorer if Josh Jacobs isn't scoring touchdowns? I think it's Davante Adams.
Yeah.
So at 8,700, Davante Adams is the best leverage play on the slate, in my opinion, at least.
I do agree. I mean, God, yeah. Adams is such a good play this week, and he's going to come in around 10% owned. I wish he was like 5% or less, because then you would be really, really, really getting a lot of leverage on the field. But, he's going to come in with a similar ownership projection to guys who have great ceilings and great target shares and are cheaper, like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Mike Evans, who we just talked about. It's tough for me. I don't know how much I'm going to get up to Adams. I think Adams is the type of player that, like, when I'm pivoting off of Josh Jacobs in my, late swaps, that I, make an effort to get up to Adams. And then, maybe I have Mike Williams in that lineup. I go down to get the salary, stuff like that, like having people, players in your builds that you can go down off of to get up to Adams off of Josh Jacobs chalk. Seems like the way that I'll play Adams this week.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Jamar Chase, obviously, in a smash spot once again against Atlanta. I think Deebo Samuel, I said he's out of play. I will probably want to consider him. I do, like I put on the screen, I do have his receiving yards over, which I do like at 57.5. But I don't think he's in play for DK. You just need really insane efficiency out of Deebo, and you need insane touchdown efficiency, especially in this offense with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't want to bet on that. I think Michael Pittman is getting, underlooked once again this week. 7,400. His target share is extremely, extremely good. Nobody's going to play Michael Pittman this week. So I think there are some just clear-cut pivots you can make at the wide receiver position, and that's the position where you want to get different, right? Like, all of these guys have similar ceilings. but some are going to just come in at 2x, 3x the ownership of some of these other players. I think you get off CeeDee Lamb. I think you fade him in tournaments. I think you can get away from DK Metcalf and T. Higgins and that Chris Godwin tier and just get up a little bit to the Mike Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans tier. And I think that's the way that I will be playing the wide receiver position in tournaments.
Makes perfect sense to me. And I mean, Mike Williams, though, I mean, with no Josh Palmer, potentially no Keenan Allen in this spot. I mean, dude, he could absolutely massacre. And he's been a guy who's like either smashing or he's doing absolutely nothing. Like you can see, 3.7 against Denver in week 6. He had 8.5 in week 3 against Jacksonville, had 3 points in week 1. So, under 10 in 3 games and then over 22 in the other 3. So he's like the prime boom bust guy in this, offense and, at the position. And I think that the ceiling is even higher than what we've seen. The highest scoring game we've seen this year, 28.3 in week 2. I mean, Mike Williams has 35 plus in his range, and this seems like a spot where he could hit that ceiling. Looking like a middling ownership projection. It is getting boosted, but I think we could see Mike Williams come in sub 15%.
But aren't you afraid of Tariq Woolen?
Absolutely not.
That's disrespectful. You're not afraid of Tariq Woolen?
5 passes defended. All right, so he's defending
4
about
picks, 38.6 passer rating allowed. He's been good. He's been very good.
Yeah, he's been good.
You're not scared of him?
No, let's see how good he is this week. Let's see how good he is this week. If he shuts down my boy Big Mike, then we can talk about it. In the chat, John asks Nico Collins. I don't know, man. Maybe. Like theoretically, I could see it. You get the ultimate smash spot with like Josh Jacobs, and you want to bring your cumulative ownership down, so you play a Texans wide receiver. But I don't know, man. Davis Mills is chopped. I'm not playing any Texans wide receivers this week.
Respect Tariq Woolen, Bob says.
Dude, his name is Wool. He's soft. It's in the name.
Unbelievable. John says, could be good coming out of the bye. He gets a lot of air yards.
Yeah, no, I mean, I believe in Nico Collins. Like, God, I had such a heavy stand on Nico in best ball, but like this just ain't the spot for me. I mean, it just isn't.
Las Vegas does have the 3rd worst passing defense according to DVOA. So this is a spot that you could potentially exploit, is the Texans pass catchers. Nico Collins, obviously very cheap. Brandon Cooks, 6K, right? 6K flat on DK. So it is, in theory, a very good spot for the Texans passing attack in a dome against a bad defense. I don't know. Maybe Cooks or Nico Collins might be the player that you need in week 7.
Yeah. I mean, theory-wise, I don't hate it. I probably won't utilize it myself, but like if somebody ships with like a Josh Jacobs, Nico Collins correlation, it's not bad. It isn't bad. John also says in the chat, Rashad White mega sleeper. Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, he is.
All right. Any long shot wide receivers you want to mention before we talk about the worst position in fantasy football?
Long shot wide receivers.
Who's winning somebody $1 million this week?
I mean, Mike Evans is winning somebody $1 million, but we already talked about that. Okay. I will say the other tournament wide receiver that I'm going to play some of is Michael Gallup at 5,100 with Dak back, with CeeDee Lamb is, stone cold chalk. I think Michael Gallup is great leverage, 5,100. The ownership projections have him around 10%. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't buy it. I don't think that he gets that high owned, especially with it looking like other games are going to be the ones that catch steam, not necessarily this Dallas-Detroit game. I think Michael Gallup comes in probably closer to 5 than he does to 10.
What about Jace Horn? JC Horn, however you say his first name. Are you scared?
I think it's time to talk about tight ends.
All right.
Not worried about the game script with Gallup. Plus, they could take it easy on Dak. I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's like First of all, I would only play Gallup, if I'm stacking Dak or stacking that game, like he's exclusively a piece of that. So like in that scenario, I'm playing Dak, assuming that he's going to have a good game and that they're not going to be limiting him. So willing to take that L if that's not the case. But if it pays off, then I'm fine with Gallup. And, I think he's fine. I think he's a great play. He's a deep threat and he's phenomenal leverage and basically an elite matchup. So,
yeah, I think Gallup is a good pivot off of CeeDee Lamb. I think that, Tony Pollard is a nice long shot running back. You could play only strictly in large field tournaments is where I would play Tony Pollard. Obviously, he's not going to project as well. Then he's not going to project as well as Zeke, right? But I think he's a good pivot. But wide receiver is kind of a wasteland this week. Some cheap guys that I like Wandale, especially if his snaps get ramped up. Wandale only played 15 snaps last week, had 4 targets in those snaps. I think that they need somebody to catch passes, and Wandale, who had one of the highest target shares out of any wide receiver ever in college coming out. He could be a target earner for this Giants team, but I got to ask you. I got to ask.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift out. Oof.
Ooh.
What did I say on Wednesday, Ben?
Ooh.
Please bring
Swift
up
out.
the exact convo that we had. I said Swift might get ruled out late. Late news. People don't pay attention to late news. Jamal Williams is 6,100. I said that on the pod Wednesday afternoon. Do you remember that conversation?
Of course I do. Of course I do. Yeah. I mean, you were on it. So real-time reactions. Jamal Williams, 6,100 on the road at Dallas. I don't think we play him.
I mean, Dallas does have one of the best defenses in the NFL, for sure. They have been playing very, very well, but I think that Jamal Williams, he could be a nice contrarian running back play early, to give you information.
Yeah, Dallas has basically the best defensive line in the league, and the Lions have a top 5 offensive line in the league. So it's a situation where the strength of the Dallas Cowboys, which has been limiting, could get offset because it's the same strength of the Lions offense, right? But I don't know, man. Like we even saw, right? Jamal Williams had 0 catches last week. It's just like this role is going to get completely split with Craig Reynolds. You're banking on 2 touchdowns, which is easily in his range. Obviously, he's already done it twice this year. He has 6 touchdowns in 5 games played. 3 times, excuse me. Yeah. So, I mean, Jamal could easily do it. And I think ownership wise, it's fine. So, if you're playing a Dak Prescott stack, maybe Jamal Williams is leverage on the chalky running backs in that price range makes a lot of sense. I can see myself going with it in that range, but certainly not somebody that I would play in cash over Kenneth Walker or Josh Jacobs or really anybody in that range.
Yeah. I agree with that. Mr. Torian, shout out him every week viewer. Which games could y'all see being a potential high scoring game where he could stack? So if I'll bring up Fantasy Labs right here on the screen for everybody to look at. These are the games. These are the highest total games right here. So we have the Chargers and Seahawks going to be very chalky. We have the Lions and Cowboys. I think it's not going to be too chalky, but I think it could get steamed. I think the game that you want to probably target in tournaments, which we haven't really talked about, is this Chiefs 49ers game.
Yeah.
There are a ton of players in this game that can speed up the pace of play, right? The Chiefs do have big play threats at wide receiver in McCole Hardman, MVS, even if they're unlikely to hit, even if they're bad at football, they do have players that could speed up the game. The Niners, obviously, George Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, CMC now, they have a ton of talent. Probably the most talented offense in the NFL, the 49ers are, in my opinion, outside of quarterback. 49 total. I mean, this is probably the game that you want to stack in tournaments because nobody's playing anybody in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
And the 49ers are also dealing with some significant injuries on their defense, which helps because, on paper they have one of the best defenses in the leagues, but could be without several key players. Eric Armstead is out in this game, and then Tre'Davious Ward and Hufanga, who's been a huge member of their defense, is questionable, both of those two players.
Yeah.
So if they get ruled out, which we wouldn't know until lock, but obviously Patrick Mahomes, regardless of matchup, has a high ceiling. And then, Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle are all phenomenal bringbacks, I think. So it's just tough though, right? Because if you're playing Mahomes, he's expensive as shit. Travis Kelce's $8K, almost impossible to play Travis Kelce. And then we already have talked about, we hit the nuts with the Juju play last week, but I don't know, man. It's a tough game to stack. I think I would prefer some of the other games. To answer Mr. Torian's question, ton of chalk in the Chargers and Seahawks game. I think you can still play it if you find ways to get different or play it around other contrarian pieces. But the two games that I think will come with less ownership that have a lot of scoring potential are the Dallas-Detroit game and the Cincinnati-Atlanta game, as well as just as well as onslaughting the Bucs side of the ball without a competitive game, but still a lot of upside for points.
Yeah. I think that the Ravens and Browns game is the sneaky game that could go over the total. I kind of do like the over 45.5 in that game. The Ravens obviously have been one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL. And, if the Ravens get up in the spot, I think Jacoby Brissett can move the ball against this defense. Cleveland has been one of the worst defenses in the NFL, period. They have a ton of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. They're currently fourth worst in DVOA. Okay. They're just right behind Detroit, the Giants, and the Falcons in terms of DVOA. So I think this is a game where Lamar probably smashes the Brown side of the ball. Jacoby Brissett with Amari Cooper, DPJ, Hunt, Chubb. I think they could put up points. So I really do like the over 45.5 in that game. And, I think it is kind of worrisome that this total has been bet down 3 points in this Chargers Seahawks game, because honestly, I could see ways that this game fails. Even just so much worse than obviously that Chiefs Bills game, extremely worse. And everybody's going to play everybody from this game. I mean, this game could easily end something like 23-17 or some dumb shit like that.
Easily.
So
important to keep that in mind when building your tournament.
So I kind of like fading the chalk in this game, to be honest, and getting on some of these other games that are going to go under-owned, Kansas City side of the ball, the Ravens Browns game, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. Totally agree with you there. Tight end position.
I mean, you're playing K-Dot or Foster Moreau and you're moving on in cash.
Yeah. Let's talk about the two there. I mean, do you have a lean? To me, I think it's K-Dot, but we could, paint a picture where, the game with the Raiders is a little bit more competitive. He should be an every snap player. He's had success in spots where Darren Waller has missed in the past. Waller obviously out in this game. Do you have an update on Hunter Renfrow? I'm not sure of his status. I know he's been questionable all week.
Anybody in the chat know about Hunter Renfrow? Is he going to play? Is Rashad Bateman going to play?
Rashad Bateman is truly questionable. Mark Andrews is going to play, despite being, questionable all week. Renfrow was added to the injury report with a hip issue on Thursday, described as precautionary, so he probably plays. I think I prefer Otten, right? I think I prefer Otten straight up, and he's $100 cheaper. To me, I'm playing Kate Otten in cash, and I'm leaving it at there.
Yeah, I'm probably playing Kate Otten in cash as well over Foster Moreau, but I think they both are very good plays. Josh Ash, Geno, or Carr, DK, GPP. I think in tournaments, Carr is the better play there. You get leverage on Geno Smith, and in that Derek Carr lineup, you're not playing Josh Jacobs, and that's leverage right there. So Derek Carr is probably one of the best leverage plays at the quarterback position. And we talked about it earlier. You probably weren't in the stream. Carr just doesn't have a lot of players he needs to beat this week at the top of the pool, which I think is important to understand this week, that these cheaper quarterbacks, they just don't have as much competition, an elite competition. So I think that Carr's in play. I think that, if you want to get crazy, Jared Goff and hope that game is back and forth. Geno Smith, if you want to eat the chalk, Mariota, potentially, Jimmy Garoppolo, revenge game, Super Bowl, Matt Ryan, 5,400, Brissett in a plus matchup. I mean,
are we just naming every court? I'm not playing half of those dudes. Are we going to talk about
this is the week
too?
This is the week if you want to play these guys in tournaments. I think it's okay.
I agree with you. I agree. I mean, the thing about Derek Carr, though, is just that he has no ceiling. But to your point, I guess he doesn't need a 30-point ceiling to win you a tournament this week. If you get 25, 26, that's easily good enough.
Eric asks, how are our season teams looking? I'll pull it up right now for the
bro. Why you got to pull it up?
Because he wants to know.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about it.
All right. So that's me. All right. So I'm in 3, Ben's in 2. So this is the league that, our roommate runs it every year, kind of our main home league. 5-1 in first. This is the league that Ben's mother runs.
She does.
Which I'm playing her. Shout out to Amy. She's a real goat. 5-1 in that league. And then in this league, this is the league that I play in with people that I went to high school with. 2-4. But, it's one of those classic, like, I'm one of the highest scoring teams, but I've had bad schedule variance type of thing. As you can see here, 647. I'm 3rd in the league in points scored, but I'm 10th. What are you going to do? So my season long is actually looking very, very well. Or my season long is actually going very, very well right now. Let's not fucking jinx it. Because it's a fucking long season, and 6 weeks is nothing. But let's take a look at Ben. You gotta scroll all the way down to see Ben's team. You gotta scroll all the way down. 1-5, 777 points scored. Look at my team is incredible. Rate my team, everybody in the chat. I want a rating. 1 through 10. This is my team in her league. All right, Kyler, Godwin, T. Higgins, Pollard, Walker, Aiden, Waddle, Evans, Pierce, bench. Bench is kind of lit.
Got Cup on the bench. Just lost Marquise Brown.
Had to pick up Gus.
Yeah.
Gus the bus. We didn't even talk about Gus.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm dying in season long. My teams are chopped. In our other main league where Joey's also in first, if I'm not mistaken, then yeah, I'm in like the middle.
I'll go back. All right. Thank you, Eric. That is a work of art, if I do say so myself. Ben is right here in 7th.
Yeah, I'm in 7th. It's a tough scene. I've been having some bad variance here, but we're gonna get right. We're gonna get right.
Bad variance. Your teams just suck,
dude. Come on, my team's not. Look at this team. It's not that bad.
This team isn't bad. Your other team in the other league is horrible. But yeah. I mean, come on. We're starting Darnell Mooney this week and Alec Pierce.
Bro, I lost Josh Palmer. I have Swift in this league, right? Or is that the other league?
Bro, your bench is barren. One injury and you're gone.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already chopped this week. I got to start Darnell Mooney because Gabe is on by. Is chopped. It's chopped.
All right.
Couple hundred down the drain in these leagues, but that's fine.
All right. Back to DraftKings. We're getting a little sidetracked.
Yeah, we are getting sidetracked.
Season long. Shout out your boy.
Yeah. So it's Otten and Cash. Moreau is also a phenomenal play. I think with no hey, he had 9 catches last week. Dude.
Past results don't indicate future success.
Yeah, no, dead ass. I mean, my team is chopped. It is what it is. Otten or Moreau and Cash. Greg Dulcich looked like he was going to be chalky early in the week, but I think with no Russell Wilson, people are correctly going to be off of that. For tournaments, my favorite range is that 3,500 to 4K range. And I think that they all align well with some of the better quarterback plays on the slate. You know, if you're playing Joe Burrow, I think you play Hurst. If you're playing Dak, I think you could play Schultz. And if you're playing Herbert, I think you could play Everett. And then Robert Tonyan as a one-off is looking pretty strong as well. So really that range is probably where I'll get to in tournaments. I don't want to eat into, K-Dot and ownership at, 20%, Moreau at 20%. Like I think that you pay up a little bit to get a significant ownership discount with guys who are all going to have very similar, projections when it comes down to it in the end.
And did you see that Hayden Hurst does have revenge on his mind? Did you
Does
see
he?
that?
No. I just didn't think I got to show everything in Atlanta. That's why it's been kind of fun coming here. Yeah, I mean,
He's got it circled on the fucking calendar, bro.
yeah. And you know what, dude? You know what? He's gonna come into this game and then finish with more yards than Kyle Pitts.
True.
That's crazy, isn't it? What a time to be alive. He knows what he's capable of. Oh, bro, if you're talking like that, all right, man, you gotta play Hayden Hurst in tournaments. Almost, you might be 100% lock every lineup type shit.
Yeah,
I know he had that kind of heart in him.
Dalton Schultz is off the injury report. He's going to get overlooked. We know Dak looks to Schultz when healthy. I think Schultz is the sharp tournament play this week, especially if you play Dak Prescott. And Schultz, I mean, he'll probably take a lot of those, layup targets that they've kind of been giving to CeeDee Lamb. So 3,600 Dalton Schultz. I mean, this dude finished as a top 3 tight end last year.
Yep.
So,
and Everett too, right? Like Seattle's been the worst team against tight ends in the league, and no Palmer, potentially no Keenan, no Parham. Like he could be the number 2 option in this passing game, or at least top 3 right there with Eckler and Mike Will. Yeah, Schultz is finally healthy, fully off of the practice report, was a full participant in practice. So
yeah, you can see right here, full participant in practice. It looks like he's ready to go, and we know Schultz and Dak do have a very, very good connection, and it is an elite spot against a team, that gave up the 7th highest scoring tight end fantasy game of all time to TJ Hawkinson.
Yep.
Or no, that's Everett is going up again. Everett is going up against that. Excuse me. Schultz, very good matchup against the Lions, though. So, yeah, this is the range that I'm going to be in tournaments. Hurst, Schultz, Everett, David Njoku as well, I think is also a very good play. And so is Robert Tonyan with no Randall Cobb. I mean, he just kind of soaked up all of those, over the middle slot targets that Cobb left behind. So I think this is the range that you are getting to in tournaments, and you're fading, Dulcich, K-Dot, and Foster Moreau and Cash. And then you can always, pay up to Andrews or Kelsey or Kittle. I think that's fine. But obviously it kind of constricts your lineup this week. But I think they're okay.
I think you get Everett at I think you might get Andrews at an ownership discount. Maybe not if Lamar is truly going to be the highest owned quarterback on the slate because he's the most natural stacking partner. But because, Andrews has been, iffy to play all week, maybe people are a little less likely to go there, at the 7,400 price tag. I think Kelsey's too expensive to play. So really it's like I would play Andrews if I'm playing Lamar, and I would play Kittle as well, just chasing the potential ceiling at low ownership and a great price tag.
Yeah. Agreed. But yeah, that's pretty much it for positions. I mean, what's your favorite stack? What's your primary stack for this week 7 slate on DraftKings?
It will be the Bucks double, and I will be making sure to have exposure to Chargers pieces in there, and those will be the 2 primary stacks I run. I could see myself running a lot of stuff with like Brady doubles and Austin Eckler at running back, or running Justin Herbert doubles and Leonard Fournette at running back. I could see myself playing that a ton.
Okay. I definitely like that. Definitely love the Tom Brady doubles for sure. All right. If anybody has any more DFS questions, any hot take guys at tight end this week? Do you have any hot takes at tight end?
Hot takes at tight end? Not really, man. It's really just sort of the range that we discussed. And I mean, none of those. I mean, so what do we got? We got like Everett and is going to be relatively chalky. Dalton Schultz is probably like our big brain play, right?
Dalton
Like,
Schultz is the play.
yeah.
Come back to this stream, tag us when Dalton Schultz scores 10 points.
Yeah. I mean, he might score 15 tomorrow. And George Kittle too, I think is pretty much a hot take too.
What's Schultz ownership looking like?
Sub 10.
Oh, smash.
Sub 10 more than 5.
Smash.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. And
we're about to draft a BR right now. So everybody tuned in. I mean, it's only 6 spots. So it might be even kind of hard for us to get in the same draft together. We're going to have to be calculated here.
Yeah. And you can't see how many to fill. So we got to just kind of
I got a few entries worth of drafts.
Give me 2 seconds. I got to redeposit. I fired off my 10 battle royales today and drained the underdog account. So,
all right, Ben's depositing.
I'm ready when you are.
I think we covered pretty much the entire DFS slate.
Agreed. We're all over the Buck stuff. Cash games are pretty locked down this week. I think there's a lot of very easy plays that you make. If you guys have any more questions that we didn't get to, feel free to join the Discord. You can find the link for free in the show notes to this video.
Sounds like a fucking winner to me. I would fade Lamb though, personally, in tournaments, but you're getting pretty. You could play it in that lineup because you're getting very contrarian with your other pieces. So you could eat Lamb chalk, but I think he is probably the worst tournament play at wide receiver.
I agree, but
he could
specifically in
smash.
That, yeah.
I mean, I hope he smashes. If he smashes, I win money. So I hope he does.
Yeah. That's the way you play Lamb, is in a double with another contrarian cowboy, whether it's like Dak and Lamb and Gallup or Dak and Lamb and Schultz with a Monraz to bring back in all scenarios. You're fucking looking mad.
Yeah. Fucking agreed. Should we? Might have to make a Prize Picks entry too. That'd be fun.
We could do that.
All right, hold on. Let me just get this on the screen. This dude's dog is whining. All I gotta say is Aaron Jones. Is he supposed to be chalk? No, Aaron Jones is not going to be chalk. Aaron Rodgers went on the Pat McAfee podcast or show or whatever and basically said, like, we need to get Aaron Jones the ball. I mean, he's
Aaron
the best
Jones
player.
Is going to be under 5%. He might be the fucking GOAT tournament play this week, low key.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is a very good play. And I think at the running back position, I mean, you could definitely eat chalk, and it all depends on your builds for sure. Like, I'm not full fading any running back this week or any chalk running back. I think they're all pretty good plays, especially Josh Jacobs. But you just have to be conscious of what lineups you're putting them into. That's all it comes down to this week, right? Is, if you're playing Josh Jacobs, put him in a super contrarian early build. And if that early build doesn't hit, you pivot off Josh Jacobs to Dameon Pierce, CEH, or, building that swap equity.
Yep.
That's what you have to do. If you want to be a winning DFS player, these are the things you have to do and have to think through rather than just pulling up your phone or your screen and building a lineup and moving on.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
All right. You ready to draft a fucking underdog battle royale?
Absolutely.
These shits go quick, so we might have to do 1 or 2.
Yeah, I would do 2 if you want.
All right. Everybody, we're about to draft an underdog battle royale. I've never drafted one before. Give me the gist.
All right. The gist of the battle royale, you are in a draft with 6 other people. All right. You've got 6 rounds. Positional allocations are as follows: 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. So you're able to play up to 2 running backs, up to 3 wide receivers. Very top heavy payout structure in this tournament. 50K to first. You're getting $1,000 if you finish in the top 7 out of 57,000 entries. It's a fun tournament, though. It really is fun. I think that, one of the ways that it's different from, like DraftKings is that the every player has a cap in ownership, right? Like they can only be owned a certain amount, whatever 1/6 is of 100. What is that? Like 16%. So like all of the top plays are all 16%. So you definitely play into the chalk, and the way you get different is with your builds. So you're not really going to get too much ownership leverage. You can take a shot in the last round on guys that won't be owned, and that's how you get your ownership leverage. But I think a lot of it comes down to getting A, good ADP values that will make your teams different, and B, hitting on your correlations, because, everybody who has a Justin Herbert and Mike Williams team, it's not like DFS where you can just plug in DK Metcalf. Metcalf might get sniped from you. So,
Yeah.
It's all about building through ADP value and correlation, I think, with these tournaments.
All right. Are you ready? We have to do it
I'm ready.
We got to hit yes at the exact same time.
Yep.
That's the only way this is going to work.
Yep.
All right.
Give me a countdown, buddy, and I'll hit that enter button.
3, 2, 1. Yes.
I'm in a draft without you.
Motherfucker. I'm in. Me and Bop are in the draft. We have to get Bop on stream.
Hey, what are you doing, Bob?
All right.
All right, you'll be commenting. I'm doing my own draft. I can focus on two at once, though. So you're in the 5th spot.
I'm in the 5th spot.
You can take a look at the ADPs. Obviously, you'll notice that, Kelsey and Andrews are top 3 picks here because, 6 players have to start a tight end, and those guys are just clear cut, above the rest. So it makes sense that they go at the top. There's a lot of value at running back, I think. Like you can take Eckler in the 1st, or you can take Fournette in like the 4th. It's I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can go. Wide receiver is the deepest position.
Got to big brain this.
Yeah, and I think the texture of your drafts change a lot based on your early picks and what kind of correlations you're trying to build. So sounds like there's a dog crying in the background. What's up with that?
There is. I go Lamar there. Smallito.
Damn, Lamar over Andrews, huh? Interesting. Good pick, though. Good pick. I mean, you're probably playing Lamar unstacked here. I think you got a lot of Nick Chubb equity at running back. He's not going to go super early, and
unless this dude doesn't take Mark Andrews, but it looks like he's going to get auto drafted, which is pain.
In the chat, if you're able to focus on 2 things at once, thoughts on Kenyon Drake this week. 5,100 on DraftKings. Good matchup against Cleveland. Obviously had a big blow up this week, but I think that, they're planning to get Justice Hill more involved. Joey not able to focus on 2 things at once. I would not.
Justice Hill is going to be in the Millie Maker winner at 4,200.
Is he? Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Who do I go here? I got Lamar, so I could go, best play available. That's Josh Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think on this slate, outside of Austin Eckler, who's gone, I think Josh Jacobs does have one of the highest ceilings. So I will go Josh Jacobs. I am strictly just looking for ceiling here, right?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
And I think especially half PPR, you probably do want to lock up your running backs before your wide receivers, especially.
Well, running back. Unless you play 2. So that's up to you.
You could play 2.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Jacobs is a phenomenal play this week. Now, I will say, while you're still early in the draft, I think the problem that you're going to find yourself running into right here is just how uncorrelated it is, because you're not going to play anybody from Houston in this. And, you've already got a running back. So you'd be playing a 2 running back build, which I think is fine. If you went with Nick Chubb, maybe you could play Amari Cooper with your final round pick. Nobody's going to play Cooper. So you'd get like, I don't know what the equivalent to ownership would be, probably like 2% owned Amari Cooper, which could make sense, but you're definitely giving up some EV in that lineup.
Bro, I'm going to just play Rashad Bateman and sail to the fucking money.
Yeah.
Come on.
Again, Bateman's a great play. No, like he's getting completely
but
unused.
In a tournament with 50,000 plus entries, how many people are correlating their teams, and is it better to just try and hit that 6-leg parlay?
Potentially. It could be. I think the other alternative is like onslaughting teams. But that's tough. That's tough with only 6. Wish I could flash mine on the screen here.
I mean, I'm just gonna go super uncorrelated then. Like, it doesn't really fucking matter in my opinion. I mean, I'm gonna take the ADP value here on Mike Evans.
Yeah, that's a smash.
And then I'm gonna go Mike Williams and just play into touchdowns.
That's solid as far as I'm concerned.
Tariq Woolen.
Tariq Woolen.
Why was Josh Gillum blocked?
Oh, I did not. Was that? Can we undo that?
You just blocked this dude.
Josh, I'm so sorry, dude. I did not mean to do that. There was this like fucking
porn bot
that was like,
hold on, I can figure it out.
We'll get you on block, Josh. I'm sorry, man. That was I was trying to block this.
Oh, who should I draft then, Bob? Oh, it's because Bob has Justin Herbert, so he wants the Mike Williams correlation.
Oh yeah. No, you got to jam Mike Will right in his face, bro.
I wasn't even looking at that shit, to be honest. I had Mike Will queued up to begin with. F, don't go Mike. Now it's collusion. Now, if I don't go him, somebody could report that we're colluding, and I'd let you get him. So I'm sorry, I have to take him. But I do feel bad. I do genuinely feel bad for doing that.
I mean, your best scenario right now would just be to close this window, because I'm winning this tournament over in another window right now with the draft that I got into, bro. This shit is crazy,
bro.
I got Jonathan Taylor in the 5th round, dude.
Yeah,
I just got JT as my only running back at pick 27 in a lineup where I have Mahomes, Debo, and Kelsey. It's chopped. I'm shipping everything.
Hashtag not the best plays.
Who's a low-owned wide receiver in this
format?
With
the rankings that I'm looking at, I have the highest ceiling quarterback, I have the 2nd highest ceiling running back, and I have the 4th highest ceiling wide receiver and like the 10th highest ceiling wide receiver. But in this, I know who I'm going in this lineup.
Who's that?
As my piece. You'll see. As my low own. Nobody's gonna take this guy that I'm gonna take. Oh, I can't say it. Bot my snipe. Correlated piece. Upcoming.
Njoku.
Oh, absolutely not.
Wow.
Brandon Cooks, brother.
Buff was not going to take him.
Ceiling projections that I'm looking at, they have Brandon Cooks with a higher ceiling for underdog battle royale rankings. They have him above Mike Evans, Pittman, Lockett, Godwin, Kirk, Ayuk.
They have Brandon Cook's ceiling higher than Mike Evans.
Yeah, by 0.6.
You might need to report whoever that is to the feds, bro, because they're on drugs.
They're on drugs. Definitely wasn't taking Cooks.
Definitely, no shot.
Correlates with Josh Jacobs, low owned. Nobody's going to take Cooks in this contest.
Damn, bro, I finished my shit like a full round ago. Your shit be taking forever. Are we about to hop in another one of these?
I'll hop in another. I'm doing it. I want ownership. Got to take your stand somewhere.
Oh my god!
You gotta take your stand somewhere.
$5 back. They don't give you $5 back because you burned it.
Bro, this team is lit. Tell me that's not shipping.
It's not.
Why not?
Dude, you got 2 players who shouldn't even be drafted in this.
That's the whole point. I'm trying to get unique.
Yeah, but like
you got to beat 55,000 people. You're not going to beat 55,000 people by not getting unique somewhere.
I mean, everybody in your lineup has a cap of 16% ownership, so
yeah, but I want 1%.
Interesting.
I don't know how you must have been.
I was like the last one.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
I think we got it. I think we got it.
All right. Last draft of the stream. Then we're off.
And we are heading
off the fucking bank.
To the bank, boys. To the fucking bank. Oh, nice. I got the turn. I haven't had the turn yet in one of these. I'm gonna build a wild team right now.
It's just like I think there is just truly an advantage of getting, your quarterback and tight end first.
Yeah, but I mean, wouldn't the same theory apply to this as it would to like DFS, where like this is the slate that you want to get different at quarterback? Like, why couldn't Brady doubles ship this, or why couldn't a Burrow Chase Higgins team ship this?
True. You're spitting facts.
I really think the value is at running back in these drafts when you can get Jonathan Taylor in the second to last round or like Leonard Fournette in the third or fourth. Yeah, see, in this draft, Mark Andrews goes 101, and he was like at the turn in the last draft. So that's pretty interesting. So both tight ends go off the board. You take my son Eckler here.
Yeah, I'll take the highest ceiling running back on the slate.
There's another running back who's in that same conversation, though, on a half PPR site.
Big Dog?
Yeah. I mean, I might have to take Big Dog here. No cap.
I'm trying to figure out how to, fix your mistake.
My mistake.
And unblock Josh.
Oh. I'm sorry, Josh. I truly am sorry. It was a temporary block, though, right?
Oh, you blocked him.
Oh, I like full blocked him?
Yeah, you full ban this dude.
There's a way. There's a way. There's a way.
There is a way. I've done it before. I just have to figure out how to do it again.
All right, we're going to take Henry here. And then at wide receiver, do we go Jamar? I think we do. I think we go Jamar here.
Jamar. All right, if I'm looking at ceiling projections, damn, I don't know. I don't know where to go. This is tough. Oh shit, I'm chalked. I'm so chalked. I guess I'll just go Saquon. I don't fucking know. Elite RB.
It could be the way.
Eckler, Saquon. 230 balls incoming. I might have to do a Daniel Jones stack.
Hey, yo, Josh, listen, my dude, if you're still listening, I'm looking this up. I think that unfortunately you're perma blocked on this stream, but you should be good on every other stream. And I am very sorry for that. So please don't, please don't hate us. That was literally my bad, dude. It was the porn bot. Fucking porn bot.
He said you're permabanned on this stream.
Yeah, there's literally no way to fix it within this stream. But it's like a specific to this stream thing, if I'm correct. In my understanding.
I don't think you are.
All right. Well, prove me wrong then.
It's like Justin Herbert there.
Pretty solid with Eckler.
Let's see. Oh my God. There's a way to do it, bro. I'm telling you. I've done it before. Oh.
Damn, this scumbag just took Michael Pittman when I was trying to get my correlation in.
All right, Josh, you're unblocked.
What the fuck, man?
Hopefully you didn't unsubscribe.
I know that would be pain.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take. Well, first I'm gonna take. Oh shit! I'm taking Evans. And do I one off George Kittle here? Do I one off George Kittle or do I take another receiver? So I've got Henry, Chase, Evans. Guess I'll take Mike Will. Hey, Josh. She said not. Hey.
Yeah, you were charged.
Yo, Josh, I'm sorry, bro. I'm glad you're back, dude.
Don't ever listen to anything Ben says. I figured it out. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I mean, here, just makes a ton of sense.
Metcalf, yeah. I mean, Joey already knows that when it comes to like this format, like you draft players in like a daily setting, I'm goated. Like we play a draft like this every week against our roommates and housemates. I'm like, I mean, what am I, Joey? How 4?
I gotta fix everything, Eric.
Joey's the tech guy. You know,
I am the tech guy in the house because everybody is just stupid and they can't work simple televisions and consoles for some reason.
got to get Joey to set up all my streaming shit. And, I'm just here, right? I'm just the pretty face and the winning DFS takes.
Doesn't know anything about OBS or StreamYard or.
Nope. But I could edit the fuck out of an audio podcast.
That is factual information. All right. I'm looking for ceiling here. It's telling me. Low-key, I should do something crazy like fucking Christian Kirk.
Hey,
nah,
that's how you win one of these, I think. I don't know.
I can't do that. I mean, usually, I think every team that you have will probably be unique, right? Like nobody's gonna get duped.
It would be pretty hard to get duped, I think.
You just need all your guys to hit their 99th percentile outcome.
Yeah. So, I mean, here my team is Henry, Chase, Evans, Mike, Will, Herbert, Burrow already gone, but Brady is still around. So I'll take Brady here with the Mike Evans stack. Yep. Took it right out of my mouth. Like I prefer Njoku and Everett and Tunyon straight up, but for the correlation and for the double stack, K-Dotton is the play.
Absolutely. And I will be going Gerald Everett for my Justin Herbert double with the DK Metcalf bring back.
Yeah, see, this team to me looks a lot better than your first team. I like this team a lot with the correlation. But who knows? Maybe it is just going to be a random
six-leg
parlay that smashes. I mean,
is this the biggest battle royale that they've run yet? I'm assuming if they're running this promo to try and fill it. That's my only guess. Is if they're giving out 100x boost, they want this contest to get filled, which it will.
Yeah, it's at what, 70%? It'll definitely fill.
Yeah.
All right. Long stream, but we fired off a couple battle royales at the end. Feeling good, man. Feeling good about this week 7 slate.
About to win all the money?
Probably not, but I'm gonna try.
I mean, we gave the people the keys.
We did. It's on them if they want to open the door, though.
That's the goddamn truth. Had my best tournament week last week. Trying to keep that momentum going into this week. It's $5 max boost. No way.
No.
It'll be like 20. They can afford, because first of all, like hardly anybody's ever gonna hit the 5 pick.
Yeah. They're paying out like 1% of those.
Yeah. So unless there's just a 5 pick play given out in one of these popular betting discords or communities that everybody tails and it smashes, underdog's gonna rake. And with this,
I mean, it's a win-win for them. They get their tournament filled, so they get their max rake, and then they get a bunch of people to fire off who weren't going to fire off into their pick'ems, and they rake on those because nobody's hitting a 5-legger.
Entry is Bob is certain it's $5 max.
So a 5 to win 500
on a 5-legger.
That would be tragic.
It doesn't have to be 5. It doesn't have to be 5 legs though. That's the thing.
I mean, yeah, but if it's $5 max, like, what are you gonna bet a fucking $5 to win 10? Like, come on.
100x. That's what? Yeah,
it'd be 500. I mean, it is what it is.
$5. I think Bob's capping.
Yeah, I do too. But we'll see. We'll see, Bob. Let us know.
100%,
hit us in the
capping.
Discord, please, if you got the source on that. But Joey, midnight approaches. Got to hit the hay. Got to get a nice solid 8 to 7 hours in, be up early in the morning grinding these lineups. So unless there's anything else in the chat, I think that we will close out here.
Oh, it is a $5 max entry. So 500 payout.
Damn. Probably wouldn't
Bob
have fired
was not
12 entries.
capping.
Probably wouldn't have
Sorry,
fired
Bob.
12 entries into that if I'd known that, but whatever.
Hey, you bing 50K?
Yeah.
Or
You know,
whatever the payout is. I don't know.
50. Yeah, it's 50. 50 up top.
50 bands. You bink 50. You bink a tournament on DraftKings tomorrow. And you lose the 5-pick parlay that you're going to put in later in the week.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll lose $5 if I'm up, 49,995,
That is facts. All right. That's about it.
That's about it, man. I appreciate everybody
Subscribe to
tuning
the
in.
channel.
Once again, subscribe to the channel, like the video. We'll be back next week. No, you're gonna have to see the Discord for that. But I'll send you some premium picks, Bob, because you're a real one. And I just
I'm about to put some prize picks in for sure.
All right. Make sure you share them with the people exclusively in our Discord channel, of course. And that, everybody, is going to be it for the week 7 edition of the live stream. If you are still watching, real quick, want to shout out that we are doing a time change next week. It is going to be Halloween weekend. We're going to be dressed up, going to be having a good time, of course. So we'll be doing the noon time. As far as I know, unless there's a holiday, will probably be the last time we do a time shift. We prefer doing these late nights, but sometimes gotta leave a little bit of room for the real life as well. So next week, noon on Saturday. After that, expect for it to be the 10 p.m. Eastern going forward.
Yes, sir.
And that's going to be it, guys. Have a great week 7.